Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. I would like to welcome everyone attending our webinar. I would like to share a few words about the University of South Asia before we start the program. Legendary ophthalmologist, politician, and philanthropist, Professor M.A. Mateen is the founder of this university. His goal was to provide quality education at a very affordable cost. Our present chairman, Professor Dr. M.A. Mohit, is following the same motto. Since its establishment in 2003, University of South Asia had developed into a strong student community, over 100 faculty members, and a modern campus in botany. Now, I would like to hand over to our respectable Dean, Irshad Ahmed Shaheen sir. He will conduct the rest of the program as the program's moderator.
Thank you, Nusrat ma'am. And a very warm afternoon to all who are watching our webinar. In fact, it's a glorious winter day, and we are in here with something very effective, something very groovy, something very popular all over the world, and is catching on very fast, really, in Bangladesh as well. So, as we all know, Ielts is international. I for international, E for English, and then we have L, language, English language system, T for testing, and S for system. So this is a system which tests the ability of speakers, listeners, writers, and readers for English language, and is really it's a benchmark for people we're willing to attend, intending to attend, seminars, educational programs, and even for immigration. So it covers a very huge area, and Ielts has really overtaken TOEFL over the years and is now regarded as the most effective and popular testing system of English language. And it's a staggering figure of, about 3.5 million to 5 million people that take this test all over the world, right across the world annually. So before we go on to our keynote speaker, I'd like to see a video that our communications department has prepared for BAE program, that is for English department. Can we go for the video? Can we see the video communication?
With the philosophy of inclusivity through education at an affordable cost, University of South Asia was established in 2003, and for 17 successful years, we have been academically nurturing the youth of Bangladesh. Our university is one of the handful of universities with UGC approval as well as Oxford graduate VC and Pro VC who have been approved by the President of Bangladesh. Our Bachelor of Arts in English Literature and Culture program nurtures the students into young professionals with powerful communication and critical thinking skills who are extremely agile and adaptable in a plethora of work settings, as well as able to compete for top positions in the international job market. Comprising of highly experienced faculty members who possess international exposure and experience, account for over 35 years in teaching. Our Bachelor in English program imparts heavy emphasis on interactive learning alongside the provision of theoretical lessons, utilizing dynamic learning materials alongside a hands-on as well as critical thinking-based approach. Research, assignments, and regular presentations are an integral part of our curriculum, while countless workshops, seminars, and readings are scattered throughout the year. Furthermore, the Debating Society of University of South Asia, which is mentored by the Dean, School of Arts and Culture, has won accolades nationally as well as internationally and gives heavy emphasis on nurturing both debating as well as adjudication skills. We have 2 large campuses in Banani. One is nestled in greenery with 2 playing fields as well as a gym, and the other at the heart of corporate Banani. Our university boasts fully digitalized classrooms, whereas our library is maintained using digital software and is home to over 6,000 books. Whether you want to climb the corporate ladder in multinationals and banks, venture into entrepreneurship, join government service, become a journalist, enter the fast-paced world of PR, marketing and communication, work in embassies, or contribute to research and academia, our program has been especially designed for you.
So we are back after the video, and I have the honor to let all of you know that Honorable Vice Chancellor has kindly consented to be the part of our program, and he will appear sometime later and deliver a few valuable words. As we know, he speaks so well and on very important things. Now, I would like to go on to our today's keynote speaker. In fact, we have a very competent person in the form of our keynote speaker today, a very competent person to take our students and anybody watching this webinar through the gray areas that a beginner has to go through. We find people trying to take the Ielts test lost in the quagmire due to several reasons, due to lack of guidance and this and that. So we have a very capable person today who will give very useful tips to our students and anybody who is watching the webinar. Is none other than Shohel Mahmud Arafat, who happens to be a Ielts instructor at the Foreign Ministry, Bangladesh, and then he is the lead instructor of International Language House. He's the lead instructor over there as well. So I'm going to I'd like to request Mr. Shohel Arafat to deliver his keynote speech. Mr. Arafat.
Thank you very much. This is such an exciting opportunity for me to be here, and this is, I would say, my pride as well. I myself, Shohel Mahmud Arafat, and the main reason, the time I had been allocated to talk about various tips and tricks regarding Ielts, I would say I need more time. So inshallah, I will try to compress all the things together, and inshallah, on 4 modules, I will try to give some suggestions, tips, tricks, advice, inshallah. So first of all, the thing we need to know that what is Ielts and why Ielts is necessary. For whom Ielts is more important. Firstly, Ielts, we know that International English Language Testing System, if we extend it, and both students and immigration seekers can go for Ielts. And there are 2 versions of Ielts: Ielts Academic, Ielts General Training. Nowadays, some students are coming up with another diversification of Ielts that is called Ielts UKVI. So Ielts UKVI for UK. So, but generally, Ielts Academic for the students who want to study at bachelor level or a level beyond that. And Ielts General Training, this is for the immigration seekers or anyone wants to go for a job in different, at least in English-speaking countries. And basically, the band score we need for undergrad level, that is 6. 6 is an accepted band score, and for master's level, 6.5. And in Bangladesh, there is IDP, British Council, but there is another body along with that, that is Cambridge University. So these 3 bodies all together, jointly, they organize Ielts exams. The job of British Council and IDP would be to organize the exams. They deliver the questions, and the job of Cambridge University sole examination is to result publications and research and development. At the moment, it takes around 18,750 taka for sitting for IELTS exam. And for UKVI, it takes more, around 21,000, something like that, a bit more than that. So students may ask questions. IELTS is the same thing. Why uh, standard IELTS takes less money, and why UKVI demands more money? Is there any difference in the syllabus? The answer is no. There isn't any difference in the syllabus. And even on the same day, for example, tomorrow, there will be a test on IELTS, both uh, standard IELTS and also IELTS UKVI will be offered tomorrow. On that day, questions will also be the same. So why is that extra money? Because for UKVI, the students will be sitting in a smaller classroom, in a smaller venue, and there will be more cameras, I mean more security, and the result is guaranteed that within 13 working days, result will be published. So in fact, for that guarantee, that extra money is taken. But at the end of the day, all things are same. The next questions some students may ask, the validity of IELTS test. The validity of IELTS test is 2 years. So after 2 years, you have to sit for the test again. Um, and there are different venues. It depends on the students whether they will choose IDP or they will choose British Council. But the result, I mean, the I mean, uh, the actual result sheet is the same, right? And apart from that, the most important thing I would like to talk about that is the modules. How many modules are there? In the IELTS test, there are four modules starting with speaking, listening, reading, and writing. These are the four modules. When students sit for the test, they usually sit for listening, reading, and writing on the same day. The speaking test takes place on a different day. For example, uh, 17th January, someone has booked for the IELTS test. So on 17th January, listening, reading, and writing, LRW, listening, reading, and writing will take place, and speaking will take place either before that date or after that date. So speaking will take place on a different day. So let me say something about the speaking test first and foremost. What happens in the speaking test? Speaking test is a one-to-one interview between the IELTS examiner and the candidate. And the IELTS authority notified, they sent an email regarding the details, and the student need to reach that venue like 15 or 20 minutes earlier. So when they in fact enter into the room, the IELTS examiner welcome him or her, and then the test starts. So what should a student or a candidate do during the interview? The few things I must share with you. Uh, there are two examiners, in fact. Students should consider two examiners, not one, because there will be a physical examiner and there will also be a recorder. So sometimes it happens like uh, students are talking something and then they feel uncomfortable for some reasons. Then they should think like there is another examiner who will listen to the conversation again before giving the actual mark. Uh, so what should student do? The first and foremost is feeling comfortable. Feeling comfortable. So how should a student feel comfortable? Uh, well, uh, uh, if I talk about the uniform or the dress, so we should wear something that on which we feel comfortable. There isn't any extra mark for for formal dress or uniform, and we should have eye contacts with the examiner. It could be like examiner is not doing so, but still we should we should play our part. And second thing is, we should listen to the questions very carefully. Examiner asks you questions and then you answer. And students should also consider some other things, like sometimes some examiner will stop you. You are in the middle of answering the question and he has stopped you with another question. So when the examiner asks you a question, you should stop, listen, and then you should answer the next question. Some other things will happen, like sometimes some students may not be able to understand the question. And then it's better to ask for clarification rather than giving an answer on your own. So we may ask in various ways, could you please repeat the question? It could be one thing, or it could be, sir, I'm sorry, did you ask me that? I mean, you can repeat the question. So it's always better to give the correct answer rather than giving an answer without understanding it. And for the first part, I mean, for the speaking test, the duration is 11 to 14 minutes. And in the first part, examiner asks few questions about the candidate, about personal or semi-personal things. And the second part is called cue card session. This is a session where examiner gives a cue card to the student, to the candidate, and the candidate can they can have 1 minute to prepare for the cue card. And then the candidate needs to deliver a speech on the given cue card. And the cue card will be in front of the candidate. So in fact, with 2 minutes, if the candidate forgets the question, you can have a look. And after that cue card session, the last part, this is an open discussion. Examiner asks questions that require broader answer. So students need to, or the candidates need to think like, sometimes we see that there are some TV programs and there are different kinds of like talk shows in Bangladesh. And when someone starts speaking on talk shows, they don't want to end. So in part 3, so the candidates should consider themselves. They are on talk shows, someone asks questions, so we need to elaborate our answer as much as we can by giving examples, evidence, or by explaining the questions. And also, another important thing I must include, that is commenting on the questions. Uh, like, well, this is a nice question. The question is very relevant nowadays. Uh, I think this way we can score better in IELTS speaking test. And uh, the examiner will mark on our fluency, how fluent we are, first and foremost. And the second thing would be our pronunciation, grammar, lexical resource or vocabulary. On those, uh, they will consider those 4 components before marking us. So first and foremost, our fluency. If a student is fluent, but he has some mistakes in grammar or pronunciation, but still he or she can be able to get 6 or at best 6.5 with by making few mistakes in other 2 components. So we should practice speaking, a lot to be fluent, and then we will consider the other variables. That is about speaking. So when in this way, when the exam finishes, the examiner will say, "Well, thank you very much. That's the ending of IELTS speaking test, and we wish you all the best." Then the student should say, "Well, thank you, sir," and then he should leave the venue. That is about speaking. After speaking, uh, the second thing I will discuss, that is listening. Listening, I told earlier that listening, reading, and writing, this will also be the sequence of the IELTS test. Listening, reading, and writing. And what will happen in the listening test? In the listening test, there will be 40 questions There will be 40 questions, and the time would be like for listening 30 minutes, and 10 minutes extra will be given to transfer the answers to the answer sheet. An extra answer sheet will be given for listening. So once again, I'm mentioning like 40 minutes, 30 minutes for actual listening. So you need to answer while you listen, and then the extra in the given extra 10 minutes, you can transfer the answers. Another important piece of information is only pencils are allowed. Only pencils are allowed. Even for the writing module as well, only pencils are allowed. You can bring your own pencil, and ID British Council will also provide you one or two pencils and an eraser and a sharpener. But it's better to take yours because you have been using those things. It's better to use your own things. And the second thing is for listening, uh, there will be four parts. Nowadays, it is called parts. Even few days ago, few months ago, it was considered, or it was it was mentioned like sections. But now parts. There are four parts in IELTS listening test. What will happen in the first part? What will happen in the second part, third, and fourth? In the first part, there will be a discussion between two people. So this is a conversation in part one, and that conversation is very easy, and there will be 10 questions. So in each part there are 10 questions. So four parts, 40 questions, uh, and there are some like if anyone scores just out of 40, 23, he will get 6. So I will give these details to Nusrat Madam regarding this about how to calculate the band score. And in the first part, there will be some issues like common issues about a person, about family or personal life. That someone wants to buy something, someone wants to sell something. Uh, those kinds of questions will be there. And there will be like fill in the blanks, MCQ, and also matching. There are 4 or 5 kinds of question types. Uh, what will happen now? What will happen if you are correct, but the spelling is mistaken? The number will not be given. All right. Another question would be someone, there is British English and American English. For example, color, COLOUR, color. This is British spelling. COLOR, that is American spelling. So if anyone writes in American way, will it be wrong? No, it will not be considered wrong. As far as they are correct, both in American English or in British English, no problem with that. Even for the speaking session as well. If anyone talks with American accent, no problem. And the speakers can be American, can be British, can be Wales, can be Scottish, Australian. So you may listen to various kinds of IELTS accent, I mean speaking accent in that listening test. Uh, and in the second, I mean this second part, there will be a monologue. In the second part, there will be a monologue, and in that monologue, there will just one speaker. Mono means one, so one speaker will be speaking. Again, 10 questions. And in part three is a bit more difficult than part one and two, and there will be usually three people. Three people will be talking on an academic background, on an academic topic. It could be regarding exams, exam results, or something a student doesn't understand. So then they're talking to the teachers. So this kind of conversation uh, will be in part three. And on part four, there will be again a monologue. So part two and part three, sorry, part two and part four monologue. So part four will be again a conversation on some academic issues, quite often research-based issues, like about cosmology, uh, uh, sometimes about somebody's biography, something about invention, etc. on part 4. So, in my opinion, part 4 is even easier than part 3. So quite often students struggle on part 3. And so if when all the oh, one more thing I have almost forgotten to mention, there is no negative marking. So even if you don't understand and you write guess answers, no problem, you will not be given negative marking. So at least it's better to answer all questions for listening or for any of the modules. So after listening, I would like to, we really it's kind of very short time for us to talk about all the modules, but I'll try my best. Let's move on to reading. What will happen in the reading test? For the reading test, there will be 1 hour. 1 hour will be given, and for the academic test takers, because uh, for the students, they will sit for academic IELTS. There will be three passages, 40 questions, and there isn't any extra time uh, like listening. Right. So unlike listening in the reading test, there isn't extra 10 minutes. So within 1 hour, you have to finish all 40 questions, and we need to transfer them as well. And the most important thing I would say for the reading test, that when you finish one passage, please transfer the answer. You finish the second one, transfer the answer. Do not leave all the answers for the last 10 minutes, because a lot of students have complained that, sir, I have done it, but later on I had only 2 minutes and I even could not answer, could not transfer all the questions. So it would be self-destructive if we leave the questions for last few minutes. And after reading test, there will be writing. I'm sorry, I couldn't give that many tips for reading, but I will send some copies to Nusrat Madam, who will be able to distribute. The last thing I would say, that is writing. For the writing module, once again, 1 hour will be given to us, and there will be two tasks for task 1 and task 2. I'm giving focus on academic IELTS, not general training. General training is for the immigration seeker, and I guess the students who are connected, academic IELTS would be needed for them. Uh, okay, our VC sir has come, I guess. Uh, Let me finish. I have just one more component remaining, writing. So there will be two tasks, 1 hour for task 2. For task 1, there will be the students should um, write an essay, or they should describe, not an essay, in fact, they should describe a bar graph, pie chart, line graph, process diagram, uh, and 150 words is the minimum limit. Like uh, at least students need to write 150 words. If anyone writes more than that, no problem with that. But it's better not to write too much. Students should not go beyond the limit of 200 words. 167 should be enough. And the second task is task 2. On task 2, students should write minimum 250 words, and they should write an essay on a given topic. Generally, task 2 carries more marks than task 1. So students need to give more focus on task 2. And they can start task 1 at first. They can finish with task 1. It's up to them. Uh, so, well, that is the ending. I'm sorry that I'm ending a bit abruptly. Our visitor has come. So thank you very much for joining us, and inshallah, we will be able to help you in every way for IELTS. Thank you very much for joining us. Over to VC sir, I think.
Okay, thank you for your nice comments. Now, since I joined late, I really do not know about the whole process. Can you kindly brief me very briefly? What was
Sir, I'm going to do that, sir. I'm going to do that. Sir, first of all, let me express being felt honored to have you amongst us. We are very proud to have you amongst us.
To be with you. It is my pleasure to be with you, sir.
Yes, sir, I know. You were such a wonderful leader. You were such a wonderful team man. And at the same time, the Vice Chancellor, the most honorable Vice Chancellor of our university. So, sir, what we have been doing here is that we have amongst us, we had amongst us as the keynote speaker, Mr. Shohel Mahmud Arafat, who is involved with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Bangladesh. He's doing, he's working as an IELTS instructor over there. And he has his own academy, International Learning House, where he's the lead instructor as well. And sir, as you know so well about IELTS, that is International English Language Testing System. And it was so interesting, sir. You have been so interesting when you have been briefing us from time to time what happened when you were going to England. Well, you said to the air hostess, I need some more sugar. And she couldn't understand you and all that, with all those very humorous anecdotes and experiences. We all know you did your PhD at Birmingham University, and sir, you understand, sir, nowadays IELTS has become almost a buzzword. It's so groovy and so effective and so sought after by the students as well as the immigrants. That is, the popularity is increasing every day. So Mr. Arafat has been dwelling at length on all the 4 skills, that is reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And I think he has done it wonderfully. He has cleared up the gray areas that the starters, the beginners often face. He has illuminated the whole process quite adequately. Thanks and gratitude to him. And now for the very, very awaited and coveted part of our program, of our today's session, we have Professor Dr. M. Wadud Mandal, sir. Would you speak a few words to us?
Okay, sir. Although I don't feel comfortable, you are the man of English. You know it better than me. But anyway, at the very beginning, I express my heartfelt congratulations and welcome to our guest to be with us. And well, I will very briefly touch the problem of English in Bangladesh. As you know, in our time, maybe our pronunciation was very poor because our teachers from the villages or rural areas, they didn't know the proper pronunciations, but they knew the grammar, they knew the structure. So they taught us how to write English correctly, how to speak English correctly. But as Mr. Shaheen, our Honorable Dean, has said, when I went to England in 1966 September for our PhD program, we faced a big problem there because you see, we speak English, but they look at us in a very way that what I'm speaking, they really do not follow us. So it took us about 3 months to overcome this problem. Now, let me touch the present scenario of English in Bangladesh. From my personal experience, I'm sharing with all of you that our students, I don't think they are bad students, they are very good. But it seems to me there is a gap in the teaching method. I think the way we are teaching our students English, they are not catching it. That even I have seen, and some of my colleagues even, they are very bright students in their subject. They are very good. But when I ask them to write an application, it appears to me they are facing problem. They don't know the grammar. They don't know the structure, how to write it. So my appeal will be to all of you, please come forward and do that. I think our Bangladesh need it very badly because this is a language of communication. I always speak that there are two languages of communication. One is English and another is mathematics. And in both these two subjects, our country is facing a big problem. So my request to my English department and to my honorable guest, please find some ways out how to introduce English in a way that our people, our students can express themselves correctly, both orally and in the written way. So that I think this is a big challenge Bangladesh is facing now. So I want to share with you my experience that, whenever I ask somebody that please come forward with an application, it seems, they are facing problem. It is not their fault, I think. It is the fault, the way English was introduced to them in a very lopsided way. So I think time has come, we correct it, and we prepare our students in a way they can express correctly, both orally and in the written way. Okay. Thank you for giving me the chance to speak to you. So my honest request again to all of you that introduce English in a way. That's why I think I tell you here that I requested Shaheen sir because he's a veteran English teacher. He has been teaching English for the last 30 or 40 years. He knows how to do it. So I request him, sir, come forward and give my students some lesson so that they feel confident how to write English and how to speak English. So I shall be very much honored if you all kindly help me in this way, that how to introduce English to our students so that they feel comfortable in expressing themselves both orally and in the written way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your valuable words. You always speak out gems, and even today you have benefited us by giving us those pieces of advice that would be very happy to abide by your suggestions and pieces of advice. And so as per your advice, we have already formulated our remedial English course, and that in a way shadows the IELTS course. And so by the grace of Allah, we'll be putting it to action very soon. As you know, sir, we were hit by the COVID and we have been delayed in a few aspects. This is one of those. So, sir, thanks and gratitude to you for making your kind appearance and sharing those valuable things with us and giving us those pieces of advice. Now, I'd like to request Nusrat ma'am to wind up the program with the vote of thanks. Nusrat ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir. I hope this informative webinar was beneficial to our audience, and I'd like to convey my sincere gratitude to Professor Dr. Mahmud sir, our chief guest, for taking time out of his busy schedule to speak with us. I would like to thank Mr. Shohel M. Arafat, our keynote speaker, for sharing his knowledge with our students and making this event more engaging. I would like to thank our Honorable Dean Sir, who is an excellent host. At last, I would like to thank our communication team for their continuous support. And this brings us to the end of our webinar today. We hope to provide more sessions for our students in the near future. Thank you, and I would like to take this opportunity to wish you all a very happy new year ahead. Thank you.
Same from my side. I express my thanks And Happy New Year to all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Happy New Year, sir. And
Thank you.
yes, sir.
Yes, to
Thanks
our
and
guest as
gratitude to all.
well.
Thank you, sir.
To our guest, sir, please help us in this endeavor, okay?
Yes, sir, he will. He's a very kind and helping gentleman. We'll have him with us, inshallah.
Thank you. Thank you, inshallah. Thank you, sir.
So
Thank
thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot from the core of my heart. And inshallah, I'll be pleased if similar sessions are provided and to help students in every single way for IELTS. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Madam, everyone.